What is up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is the third triumvirate. This is a little side thing called Edith's video essays because I'm nothing if not performative, and I struggle to do work if I'm not recording myself for some reason. So I've curated a video essay. So we're going to introduce our key players here. There's going to be key figures, key battles, but we're starting out here with some broad overview, like setting the scene. Okay. Key players in this we have Sparta, Athens, Persia, and then Ionia, kinda. Like, Ionia's got some little bits of lore that we can chat about. So starting out with Sparta. So Sparta emerged from the Dark Ages as a few villages in the Eurota Valley, okay? But due to land shortages, they waged a 19-year war on Messenia. Now, this led to lots of land for Sparta because their primary thing was agriculture, but it also led to a very, very large slave population. This is important for their military stuff. But the primary thing that came out of Sparta's war on Messenia was that during their defeats, they reorganized their political system. Now, enter key figure, Lycurgus. Okay, Lycurgus, he was the person who basically reformed the Spartan political system so that to be a Spartan citizen, obviously you'd be male, but you had to be above the age of 30, you had to have gone through the Sistion, meaning you had to have gone through rigorous military training. And so instead of the Spartan armies being made up of aristocrats paying for their own weapons and their own horses and everything, it was made up of Spartan citizens, Spartiates, which Spartiates is obviously the male citizen over the age of 30, but like you had to go through this training to become a Spartiate. And this is the key change that kind of made Sparta very unique in terms of its military stuff. And in order to participate in politics, you also had to be part of the military. That's very important. Okay, so Lycurgus did this through this thing called the Great Retra. Next key figure, Athens. Athens was not a military force for most of its starting up. Athens got their power from their money. So Sparta didn't really care much about money. They relied on their agriculture. They didn't value coins and things like that, so they would often trade in iron bars. Athens, on the other hand, set up trade with Ionia, which are very powerful islands around the Greek peninsula. The class system in Athens was set up so that if you were landowning citizens basically fought in Athens, but it was kind of on the DL. It was not like Sparta. If you were not a landowning citizen, you couldn't afford armor. Therefore, you couldn't fight. There was no, it was not given to the Athenians. Key figures in Athens that helped with their military success. Themistocles. Themistocles is a big figure, okay? One of the key things he did is at the discovery of a new vein of silver in Lorient, this is later on, so we'll get to this, he basically advocated for the use of the vein of silver in Lorient instead of been divvied up among the people, which people wanted. People were like, oh, no, just give it to us, bro, give us the money. Themistocles like, hey, what if we built a navy? And that was crazy, because that was the start of Athens' naval supremacy. Next people. Persia! Okay, this is going to be the main source of conflict during this entire thing, is that Persia is expanding. They're getting big. They want to expand, that's their ideology. It is led at the start primarily by King Darius I, who just wants to expand Persia. That's his thing. He likes to expand Persia, and he expands into Ionia. Another key figure from Persia, Darius's son, Xerxes I. He's important as well. Last one, Ionia. Within Ionia, you have Miletus, which is the most powerful Ionian city. A lot of Ionian cities were governed under a Persian tyrannical rule. At the beginning to do with protection, so they wanted protection from with Persia because Persia was so powerful, but after a while they got sick of Persia's tyrannical rule. They started to revolt. The Ionian Revolt basically surrounded the start of the Ionian Revolt came from the key city of Miletus. It was the largest and wealthiest Ionian polis, and it was ruled by a Persian tyrant. The tyrant's name was, I'm gonna say Histiaeus. By 500 BCE, the people of Ionia were like, we're actually so sick of your ass right now. At this point, Histiaeus, his nephew, whose name was Aristogoras, key figure, Aristogoras, I don't know if they've got any portraiture of him, but anyway, hopefully it'll be up there if it is. He'd failed on a campaign. He was like, oh god, I actually am like so worried for my position right now. I'm worried that like I'm not going to be able to become tyrant. What can I do to like keep myself relevant? So he led the Ionian revolts. Now, it's important to remember, Persia big as fuck. Persia big as fuck and have big as fuck army. Ionia, while they're wealthy, they can't match Persia. And so Ionia immediately, well, like Aristogoras, who's leading the revolt, immediately, like, he goes, fuck, what have I done? Like, I need backup. So, he bells up Sparta. Well, he doesn't bell up Sparta, he goes to Sparta. He goes, please, 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 help, help, help. Sparta are like, nah. And then he's like, fuck, no. I guess I'm gonna have to bell up Athens, because Athens, at least they're rich, at least they're rolling in it. And Athens like, sure, bro. Of course. Let me chat to my bestie Eretria over here. So Athens and Eretria send ships and troops to aid the Ionians, and they ended up sacking and the city of Sardis and burning the temple of, let's say Cybele. However, they kind of did that, and then they went, ooh. They did that, and then they looked over and they saw all the Persian troops and they went, ooh, yeah, nah, you're actually on your own, mate. So they burned that city, and then they kind of just fucked back off to Athens. By 494, there were only like 6 Ionian polis left, left in the revolt, and they kind of just ended up getting crushed by the Persians. The city of Miletus was destroyed. So obviously, Greek sacking of Sardis and the burning of the temple made the Persians piss the fuck off, particularly Darius, who's like, how dare you burn this temple? And so let's just say that temple burning became a theme going forward. Now, the Persian invasion of 490 BCE. Obviously, Darius is pissed the fuck off. He's like, how dare you burn Salamis? I actually hate the Greeks. I want them destroyed. And he's fueled by this, and then also because Persia just wants to expand, and Greece offers like a fuck ton of wealth. They first went to my boys Eretria over here, who helped Athens burn Sardis, well, sack Sardis and burn the temple. And they went, yeah, we're actually going to sack your city and burn your temple. So there's the theme there. And then Persia went, let's just sail south to Attica. And Athens was like, we're actually so scared. And so they went, Sparta, Sparta. And Sparta were like, I can't right now. I'm praying. Sparta, basically, they were like, I can't, I'm literally, like, I've got shit to do. I've got a religious festival going on. I can't fight during a religious festival, babes. I've told you this. Eventually, the Persians make it on to, obviously, Attica, and they get onto this expansive land called Marathon. And so they're so fucking outnumbered, right? But on the 10th night of Marathon, the Athens did the pincer maneuver, where basically the pincer maneuver is in the dead of night, while they weren't even looking, they went, Persians here, Athenian troops, and they got them. Okay, and this is crazy. The Battle of Marathon went down in history. This was iconic. This was iconic. This is David and Goliath. We love an underdog story. Now, enter in the Second Greco-Persian War. Persia, they're like well pissed off because, to be fair, they got cucked. Like, they got bent over and absolutely rammed in the asshole. That's just embarrassing. The Battle of Marathon was embarrassing for Persia. But Darius is like, you know, he's got other shit to deal with. Obviously, because Persia's expanding so much, they have to deal with revolts kind of everywhere. They have to kind of keep putting out little fires. And there's a revolt going on in Egypt. And Darius is like, okay, BRB, let me just like do that real quick. And he fucking dies. And his son takes over. Xerxes the First. Sick ass name, by the way. And Xerxes is like, he wants to avenge his dad, basically. It's like that sort of like that trope, you know? And he also is like, and low-key, I'm still Persian and I want to expand. Because God forbid the Persians do anything but expand. Second Greco-Persian War ensues. Now, how long do you think this one took? If you said a year, you'd be right. It was from 480 to 479 BCE. Now, this is where Themistocles comes in. Themistocles has his debut, and he absolutely fucking kills it. He, like, shows them and goes, guys, new vein of silver at Lorient. Instead of you guys, like the greedy little fucking piggies you are, taking it for yourself, let's invest in a navy. It was like 270-something Athenian triremes. And the Hellenic League was established in 481 BCE by Sparta to better, like, protect the Greek Peleus against potential Persian invasion, whatever. Sparta does, like, weird shit, I fear. I can't really gauge Sparta's motives for anything they do during these wars. And then, Loki, Xerxes, put his whole Xerxes into the fucking pontoon bridge at Hellespont. Basically, when you're Persia and you're big as fuck, okay, it's really hard to transport, like, troops all the way from Asia to Europe. So what Xerxes did was he was like, yo, everyone, get your fucking ships, okay? We're gonna line like 600 of you guys up, 674 ships, side by side, forming a bridge. He covers that shit in fucking like dirt and shit. Yeah, wooden planks and earth to like make it into a bridge, adds walls so no animals or people fall off, and then they just fucking walk over. And I fear no one talks about that. Also, because the Greeks, like, low-key mocked it. Like, fucking Herodotus was like, goofy our bridge, boy, like, boy, get that bridge out of the water, boy. But, like, historians in general go, like, he ate that. He ate that the fuck down. Like, that is a insane feat of engineering, I fear. Like, that's crazy. Xerxes did his big one. So, several Greek city-states kind of just, like, folded under the intense pressure of nothing, like Thebes, and just, like, went, hey, Persia, we're on your side now. Which, to be fair, I understand. Obviously, because Persia has now entered Greece with their fucking massive army, the Spartans were like, they were at Thermopylae and they were like, stop. And then they got fucking killed. But the important part about this is that the Spartans, they fought to the end. The 300, they call them. It was a show of Spartan stoic resilience in the face of certain death. The Spartans viewed it as valor, and I respect that. A few days prior to the Battle of Thermopylae, Themistocles, like, aided by, like, the winds and the storm, managed to, like, defeat a bunch of Persian ships, and this was the, so Artemisum. Then, squad, key battle ensues. The Battle of Salamis. The Battle of Salamis basically was a trap organized by Themistocles. So they, like, evacuated Athens, and they were like, guys, all come to this island, okay? The Battle of Salamis. There's so much shallow water here, we can get the Persian fleet, and because there's so many of them, they'll just all like just crash under their numbers. Like, that was like the thing. And it worked. Sadly, it took a bit longer than expected because the Persians were too busy ravaging the fuck out of Attica. They like sacked Athens twice. There was no one there. It was like a rage room. There was like no one there. They were just destroying shit. And they definitely burned the Acropolis. I fear it was warranted. Let's go band for band. Fuck that, we can go temple for temple. Okay, whatever. The battle, however, was successful. A bunch of Persian ships sunk. But sadly, due to the amount of fucking ravaging that Attica had gone through, according to Herodotus, Sparta was like, oh my god, Athens is gonna surrender. Literally, we have to rally the troops. Boys, come on. When you're a jet, you're a jet. Like, that's literally what Herodotus is basically saying. Athens is gonna surrender, we need to actually rally the troops. That might have been the case. Many people don't believe that Athens was planning on surrendering. Their navy was still pretty intact. They can rebuild Athens. They did rebuild Athens. Pericles, bro. Pericles rebuilt the fuck out of Athens. However, the Spartans rallied the troops. According to Herodotus, there was something like 2 fucking million troops, okay? Boy, no there wasn't. He's a storyteller, okay? He is nothing if not theatrical, and I respect that, because if you're going to be a historian and you know that only your histories are going to be like what is told of this era, what if you made it sick? If I was Herodotus, I would have done the same shit. And in the summer of 479 BCE, the Spartans marched and defeated the Persian army. Well, them and Athens, of course, like, you know, duo, where's my duo? It really is a friends to enemies, to peace treaty, to enemies, to peace treaty, to defeat a, like, thing going on. I bet there's Athens x Sparta fanfiction. I want to see if I can find it. I'll put some Athens x Sparta fanfiction that I have found. Hello, this is Edith about to go on her lunch break, but I need to actually discuss some of these fanfictions I've discovered. Starting off, obviously, Athens x Sparta, Sparta x Greece, blah, 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 blah. We have Brasidas x Cassandra, Alcibiades reference, blah 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 blah, just smart. We have Aziraphale x Crowley from Good Omens, which is, there's multiple of these, and obviously because they're angels and they live through all of history, then like that makes sense. Well, angel and demon. But we have Athenian, Aziraphale, Spartan, Crowley, of course. That makes so much fucking sense. Historical accuracy, Greek AU, Athenian Congress, and they try to help Spartans fight the Persians, who would crush them without their help. Thing is, Athens and Sparta are the biggest rivals in Greece. Even worse, Crowley is part of the Spartan government, can be seen as a romantic or queer platonic relationship. Cunt. Next we have Technoblade x Filza, and it is Techno is a mercenary, Filza is a philosopher, Athens x Sparta war, porn with plot, porn with feelings, fluff and humor, ancient universe Greece, friendship / love. Okay, one of my favorites is a Dream Not Found fan fiction, historical accuracy, a story in which the son of one of Athens' renowned generals and the heir to the Europatrid throne of Sparta fall in love during the Peloponnesian War despite being on warring sides. And it's like size kink, rough sex, abduction, continued. Another Aziraphale x Crowley. This is one of my favorites. Let me read out this thing. Ancient Greece, 430 BCE, an unknown pathogen, which would be known as the Plague of Athens, is ravaging the ancient Greek city, killing thousands and thousands with no end in sight. Just outside the walls, surrounding devastation, a guilt-wrecked angel and a raging, despairing demon seek refuge in the violent downpour, the stench of an old, abandoned dwelling. And it's like dirty talk, verbal degradation, peppered with worshipful praise, rough sex with much feelings, wet and messy, breeding kink, sad porn. Okay, just needed to speak on this because I just went down a rabbit hole. And by the way, that fanfiction, the Aziraphale x Crowley one, I believe was over 100,000 words. Maybe we'll read some out on the Third Triumvirate podcast, hey? I feel like me and Kara would get this one. Shout out love to my fellow podcast host, Kara. She knows what's up with Good Omens. Anyway, continuing on. The Persian army got defeated. They got defeated in the Battle of Plataea in 479 BCE. And then the remnants of their navy was defeated at the Battle of Mycale. I'm going to say Mycale because I feel like that sounds better than Mikhail. At the Battle of Mycale that very same year. So the rest of their fleet was just fucking destroyed. That was due to, obviously, Athenian naval supremacy, okay? Now, in concluding these military escapades, the conclusion of this is that coming out of the Second Greco-Persian War, Athens had instated itself, not only had it instated its democracy as something successful, so it vindicated Athenian democracy because democracy was very young at this point, and it made it so that Athenian democracy was seen as a successful political system for the time. It also meant that Athens emerged as a naval superpower, and eventually their naval supremacy would be able to rival that of Sparta. Okay, there's some tension going on, okay?